So what I've done here, and you've got a copy of this, again, you can download this, is what I have a joist panel options worksheet. And here's what we've done so far. Again, I just simply recreated what I wrote down on the paper there, the same information. Then what I did was say, okay, well, how much does each one of those cost? So on a lineal foot basis, Southern Pine comes at around roughly 70 cents, the Framer series at 80 cents, and this is on a cost per foot basis. Now these numbers I made up. Obviously the numbers, the actual cost of materials of where you are is what you should have in there, but I put these in there. I think they're fairly representative of what you should expect. And you would think, based on this, that by default, without question, the specification for Southern Pine number 2 lumber would always be the very best solution because everything else is significantly cost more. However, that's not completely correct. And the reason why it's not right is because we don't have any means of comparing them on a performance basis nor the actual cost basis, because these joists are 16-inch spacing. These ones are 19.2, which means there's fewer of them, and there's fewer yet of these. So this is not apples to apples yet. And the way you get apples to apples is this next column over, is to look at the cost per square foot. And at the bottom of this page here, you can see I have a conversion factors. It's very simple. You simply take your cost per square foot, you divide it by your conversion factor based on the spacing, and now we have a means of comparing costs on a square foot basis as opposed to a foot basis, and this is much more accurate. So the Southern Pine, the conversion factor is 1, so it's still 70 cents a square foot. And the 110 at 24 inches on center, for example, is only 88 cents a square foot. So before, where it looked like there was a huge price discrepancy, all of a sudden there's only 18 cents a square foot. And if you take a look, notice how, for example, the 9.5-inch TJI, which most of us would think automatically would be the lowest cost for the TJI alternates, ends up being the most expensive. And the reason why is because the difference in price between the 9.5 and the 11 7/8 is small, but there's significantly more of them because we're putting them at 16 inches on center as opposed to 19.2. And this is why this is the best way to look at this. But that's not the complete picture. We should also take a look at the panel. So I also have a spot here to put in your typical panel. I put in 23/32 for most of them. And I threw out a 7/8 as an option at the very end here. We'll discuss that in a minute. But again, take your panel on a square foot basis, add it in there, and from there we can actually come up with a true complete joist and panel square foot number. Now what this number now includes, and if you look at the conversion factors, it includes something for your rim board, and that's the most important piece. So it's the joist plus the rim board. There may be a little bit of room for error for additional things like hangers, but it gets you pretty close now. And we can see that there's a difference here between $1.32 and actually $1.59. So about roughly 30 cents or so a square foot difference between the high and the low. But then the last piece here is, okay, so if I know what the price per square foot is, that's simple enough, but what am I actually paying for? On a performance standpoint, again, we just pulled this number across. For $1.32, you're going to get conventional code, which is the L over the 360 number. Not sure exactly how good that feels, but that's the only information we have. Framer series will feel better because it's gone to a 480 number, but then there's a whole series of numbers here that I've put in here. And what these numbers are was called TJ Pro rating. And something that you may want to do, and you have an option in this course to do it if you want, and that is we have a software program, and this is unique to just TJIs. And what I've done here is actually print out a page of this particular program. Again, the pricing you put in here is going to vary from what I've done because this is just made up numbers that I used for the purposes of this exercise. But what you do in this program is you actually put in your price per foot of your joists, your price per foot of your panel. Then you simply pick the span and the floor thickness, and what it does is it prints out the full range of options of joists and spacings, as well as your pro rating number and the cost per square foot, so you can quickly see where you want to head with this thing. Now what the Pro rating number does is it gives you an idea of about how good that floor is going to feel. These are subjective numbers though, and subjective meaning that it's not always a guarantee that a higher number a customer is going to like it. So in this particular example though, let's say that your builder had built this house before with conventional lumber and they liked it. Numbers in the 20s and maybe the 30s would be similar to what was done originally. On the other hand, you might have a customer who's done it before with lumber and said, you know what, I didn't think it was a good enough floor. I actually have a customer who wants a better feeling floor. So you might consider going to the 40s to make that happen. So again, I've just picked out a couple of these. The ones that you pick out may be different, but now we can at least look at the ones that I've sorted out. Here's that 9.5-inch 110 is probably similar to conventional lumber. It's a 34, but it also costs $1.59 a square foot. And then we can range all the way up to a 46 for $1.58.